guys, welcome back to True Crime Time ASMR. I'm Nicole. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in to the channel. I truly appreciate you. And if you're new here and you enjoy whispered true crime, please consider subscribing to the channel. I post 2 times a week, on Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I recommend using headphones if you would like to hear the gentle mic brushing. Now, before we get to tonight's case, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. And if you don't mind, please leave it a like. Thank you. So, for tonight, we are traveling way back in time to the year 1922. And we will be visiting 2 locations. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So shout out to all my friends in Wisconsin. And Los Angeles, California. So shout out to all my friends in California. This is the case of Dolly, Oesterreich. Now, this is one of the most outrageous cases I have ever heard, truthfully. And if it weren't for the fact that somebody actually died, then this would be the most amazing story for a major motion picture. I mean, it has been in some movies, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems so fictional. Like, I am shocked this really happened, but it did, okay? Alright, so let's get to it, but make sure you're sitting, okay? Make sure. Or laying down. You are literally not going to believe me about any of this. So, Dolly was born in 1880. Originally, her name was not Dolly. Her name was Walburga Korschel. And she was born to German immigrants. I believe she came over from Germany as well. And they settled in Milwaukee. And that is where she grew up. And her family did not have very much money, so she had to go to work at an early age. And she was around 14 when she started working at a local textile mill owned by Fred Oesterreich. And it was said that Dolly was very beautiful and charming. So, of course, Fred fell for her. And after they dated for a few years, they got married. I believe she was 17 when they married. Now, he was very wealthy. His business was doing well. He was also a German immigrant. So, anyway, she continued to visit his factory on the regular, and she developed a lot of friendships with the workers at the mill. Everyone really liked her, including the various men that worked was often very argumentative. Anyway, she had a bit of a wandering eye, it seems, because on the regular, she was bringing home lovers to her house while Fred was at work. Now, one day, many years later, when she was 33, and the year was 1913, she was introduced to a worker named Otto Sanhuber. He was a sewing machine repairman. She really liked him. He was 17 years old. So she decided she would call up her husband from home, and she told him that her sewing machine was broken and could he send a repairman. So of course he sent Otto, and she was expecting him, so she arrived at the door wearing stockings and a silk robe, and that was it. So, I imagine, although I didn't read it anywhere, that the sewing machine did not get fixed that day, but instead they began an affair, and they would meet up on the regular. They would go to various hotels in the area, but it was getting very expensive, and even though she was a rich woman, she was leaving a bit of a trail, and her husband was going to start to wonder where the money was going. So she decided that he should just come to their house while Fred was at work. And so he would do that. But the neighbors were getting a bit nosy and asking, who is this man who keeps coming around? So Dolly lied to them, and she said it was her vagabond, quote-unquote, half-brother, meaning that he was homeless and unemployed. And that's who it was, but they didn't believe her. So she knew that she couldn't keep doing this, or she was going to get caught. So she came up with an idea. She told Otto to quit his job at her husband's place and come move into their attic and hide away there. And he would become her secret lover by day. While Fred was at work, he would come out of the attic. Now there was like a trap door in one of the closets to get into the attic. And she, got him furniture. And she bought him a bunch of books. And he would read and write science fiction when he was alone up there. And he also made bathtub gin. And supposedly she even had some of his books published under a pen name. But anyway, so when Fred would go to work, he would come down, they would do their business, and he would also do her housekeeping. So, and that was his life. He was just hidden away in an attic, and he was happy with it, supposedly, because he had no family that was going to be looking for him. And he really loved Dolly, and he always wanted to be a writer. So that was that. But as time went on, Fred was noticing noises in the house that no one could explain. situated once we get there. And so he did. And they continued their affair. And Fred was surprised to find that all of the strange things that happened in Milwaukee were still happening in LA. His cigars were still missing, and there was strange sounds, and the groceries seemed to, they seemed to go through the groceries very fast for just the two of them. And then on August 26th, 1922, Fred and Dolly were having a very loud and violent sounding argument. And they did argue a lot, but this was extremely bad. And Otto thought she was going to get hurt. So he came down from the attic and he found two 25 caliber pistols that belonged to Fred. And he walked in on the two of them arguing and confronted Fred. Now, right away, Fred remembered Otto, because Otto used to work for him. And somehow he figured out the whole thing in an instant. So the two men started a struggle over the gun. And, we weren't there. The story comes from, I guess, just from Otto and or Dolly, but the gun went off, and Fred was shot 3 times in the chest, which sadly killed him. So now, Dolly and Otto are left standing there like, what now? What are we gonna do? So Dolly said, alright, I have a plan. You lock me in this closet here from the outside. There would be no way she could lock herself in there, that's the point. So you lock me in, toss the key on the floor, then get all the cash, and take Fred's diamond pocket watch, and go hide up in the attic. So he did that, and meanwhile the neighbors called the police because they heard gunshots and they heard Dolly screaming. So when the police arrived, they found Fred dead in the living room on the floor. They heard Dolly screaming and they let her out of the closet and they asked what happened. She said they had come home that evening and she had gone up to the bedroom. She was in the bedroom closet when they found her. She had gone up to the bedroom and Fred was still downstairs, and she heard the gunshot, and then they came up and they forced her into the closet and they took off after stealing, their belongings. For whatever reason, the police didn't believe her. Partly because she told them that she and Fred never fought, and that didn't seem believable. I don't know what else they noticed that seemed off, but they didn't believe her. But they couldn't do anything about it because they had no evidence. So she never got in any trouble, neither did Otto at that point, and for whatever reason, she decided to move out of that house and buy another house same story. So he hid it in his backyard. She must have been so charming. I don't even know why people would do these things for her. But it all went south when Roy Klumb found out that she was seeing Herbert Shapiro at the same time. So they broke up over this, and he went to the police, and he told them about the gun in the tar pit, and they found it, and they arrested Dolly. So there she was, in jail, and her lawyer slash boyfriend, Herbert, comes to see her. And she said to him, listen, at my house in the attic, I have my half-brother, my vagabond half-brother living in the attic there, and I feed him. And since I haven't been home in a few days because I'm in jail, I don't want him to starve to death. Can you please go to my house, get some food, bring it to that closet, the one that has the trapdoor to the attic, and knock on the wall so he knows that there's food for him. So, now I'm just imagining this was real life in the 1920s. Like, did these people really, was this normal to these people? This guy Herbert, hearing this, was he thinking like, oh, okay, yeah, you got somebody living in the attic and you feed, like, okay, let me go give them some food. But he went over to her house, he did what she said, and when Otto came down, he spilled the whole story to Herbert. I don't know exactly why he did. You know, maybe Herbert asked him questions, or maybe he just wanted someone to talk to, a person other than Dolly. You know, maybe he was fed up, who knows? But Herbert was very angry, and he told Otto to get out and never come back. So Otto did as he was told, and he took off to Canada, where he changed his name, and he got married. So, meanwhile, the neighbor also told the police about their gun, you know, the gun that they had hidden, and the police got that one as well. But the guns were old and decayed, and they couldn't get anything off of them. I mean, they didn't have very advanced techniques back then. Now, I should also mention this was in 1923, and if you remember, Otto moved in 1913, so he had been living in various attics with her for 10 years. Okay. But anyway, so she got out of jail because they had nothing on her. And she and Herbert stayed together for the next 7 years. He moved in with her until she was caught cheating on him. Go figure. At which point he was angry and he went to the police and told them all about what Otto had told him. So the truth came out at that point, that Otto had shot Fred, and that Otto and Dolly covered it up. So, unfortunately for Otto, he had returned to LA by that point. I wonder if he had stayed in Canada, if they would have even been able to prosecute him. I don't know. But anyway, so both he and Dolly although this was manslaughter, but I don't know. Anyway, I was thinking that they shouldn't have bothered having the trial if the statute of limitations was up. Apparently, it's a 7-year statute of limitations, and it had been 8 years, because it was 1930 at this point, and the murder had happened in 1922. So he was free to go, and he disappeared into the sunset, and we don't know what happened to him after that. And Dolly, she wound up with a hung jury, so she got off as well. And she stayed in LA, lived her life, got a new boyfriend, and she lived until 1961, when she was 80 years old. And that is the case. What do you think? Pretty wild, right? Well, of course, I'm gonna start out by saying my heart goes out to Fred. I mean, it was a long time ago, and it is hard to even imagine that this happened, but it did, and he was a real person, and he lost his life, and he didn't deserve that. So, and I'm sure he must have had friends and family who mourned his loss as well. So, what can I say about Dolly and Otto? Do I believe that Otto had the mentality of an 8-year-old? No. Because how could he be a sewing machine repairman if he had an 8-year-old's mentality? I mean, I believe that he wasn't quite right, you know. I really don't know of anyone who would move up into somebody's attic and just spend their life like that, 10 years of their life. So from age 17 to 27